Inside of me, I was thinking, do I aspire to be good? Or do I want to be the best? I couldn't believe that it was true. Winning a Scudetto in that way was incredible. Having the opportunity to live out my dream, the greatest dream of any player, and win the World Cup, is something you can't describe. It's been a beautiful adventure, and with time, it's got even better. Football has been my life since I was a kid. In every moment of the day, I was always thinking about football, even at school, although I shouldn't say that. And then this turned into a job, going through different phases. First, my town's team, then at Padova FC when I was 13 until I was 18, which was when I joined Juventus, and then onto my last experiences. My debut and first goal came very early, in September. My debut on the 12th, and the first goal on the 19th. I never imagined I'd make my debut for Juventus and score just a week later.
In the summer of 1994, Juventus won the race to appoint the much-coveted Marcello Lippi as their new manager. For Alessandro Del Piero, it would be a season he would never forget.
The second season was probably one of my best years overall. The first experiences are always the best ones, and that season ended with our first championship for 9 years.
In September 1994, I found this talented youngster who had made his debut with Trapattoni a year earlier. He'd only played 1 or 2 games. So I'd already heard about this great young player we had in the squad.
I started as the 4th striker and had some real marquee names in front of me.
In attack, we had either Vialli, Ravanelli and Baggio, or Vialli, Ravanelli and Del Piero. In the final part of the season, which was when we won our title, the attacking lineup was Vialli, Ravanelli and Del Piero.
One of the most important and best goals I scored came on the same day. It was the home match against Fiorentina, who at that time were top of the league.
Nobody else would even think about scoring a goal like that one against Fiorentina. 99.9% of players would have tried to bring the ball down, keep control of it, and then perhaps see if they could turn and shoot.
It was a completely unusual goal. Instinctive, unique. In a particular moment of the game, the last minute, it was like something out of a movie.
That was pure genius.
The following season, legendary number 10 Roberto Baggio left Juventus for rivals AC Milan, and the famous jersey was handed to Del Piero. The 21-year-old wasn't fazed.
Wearing the number 10 was always my ambition, as it is for a lot of other players. At Juventus, that number was worn by extraordinary players, special because of their charisma and their other qualities.
Del Piero was playing on the wide left of the side, and that was the reason why Juventus didn't extend Baggio's contract, because they wanted to make room for a new champion who was developing, Alessandro.
It was a special season for Del Piero and Juventus, who enjoyed European glory thanks to a penalty shootout win in the Champions League final against Ajax.
To be playing in the Champions League was really exciting, as it meant we could play against some of the best teams that were around. We knew that we had great potential, and that year we ended up having a fairy tale journey, because we went on to win only the second ever European Cup for Juventus. So obviously, it was a historical moment.
Along the way to the final, Del Piero developed a trademark goal from an area that became known as the Del Piero zone.
I don't know about that. It was just a made-up name. I was playing in that position on the pitch. I was left forward, as Vialli was the main striker. So I found myself out on the left, and I tried that shot a lot. And basically scored every time. So that's where the Del Piero zone phrase came about. It was a move that came really easily to me.
Juventus reached a second successive Champions League final the following season, in which they faced Borussia Dortmund. But Juve came unstuck. The match ended 3-1 to the German side, and for Del Piero, a moment of genius counted for nothing.
It's a goal that very few people remember with any fondness, including myself. It was a really technically impressive goal. And of course, it counts as my goal. But having lost the final, well, I don't like to talk about it. If I'm honest, I'm just answering your question, but I don't tell people about that goal.
Juventus continued their relentless assault on the Champions League, and the following year reached the final once again, this time suffering a 1-0 defeat to Real Madrid. By now, though, Del Piero had become the most prolific striker in Europe, scoring a stunning 10 goals that campaign.
In that year, 1998, in the Champions League semi-final against Monaco, I scored one of my best free kicks.
Free kicks were, and always have been, his trademark. He was really good at them. He just took them so well. One of his real strengths was that he could easily overcome the wall by giving the ball a lot of power. So if you can manage to overcome the wall without slowing the ball down, then the keeper doesn't have time to react. In this way, Ali was really unique.
Free kicks have always fascinated me since I was a kid. The greatest players in the past always used to score free kicks. So inside of me, I was thinking, do I aspire to be good? Or do I want to be the best?
By 1998, Del Piero was regarded as one of the best players on the planet. But on November the 8th, the eve of his 24th birthday, his entire career was suddenly in the balance.
He basically tore his knee apart.
It was a really serious injury, but the doctors immediately reassured me. Even the professor who took care of the surgery when I went over to the US was really, really fantastic.
I think in some ways Del Piero's career can almost be divided into two, in the sense that in the period leading up to the '98 World Cup, he was absolutely devastating. He had to reinvent himself as a footballer. And then came part two of Del Piero.
So he had the surgery. When he returned to football, it took him some time to get back into things. I had left and gone to Inter Milan, and Ancelotti had replaced me.
He wasn't 100% fit, but I had had that injury myself. So I knew that to get back to 100%, you have to play, and you have to have continuity in your game.
After 2 years with Juventus, Ancelotti was sacked and replaced by their former manager, Marcello Lippi. Del Piero, however, now had his sights set on international success. The Azzurri reached the final of Euro 2000. where they faced a French team inspired by his teammate Zinedine Zidane.
The final, it went really badly for me. Losing it after conceding a draw in the last second and then conceding again in extra time was a huge disappointment.
Even now, I would chase him with a stick for the chances he missed in the final of Euro 2000. Because for someone like him, he could have won us the Euros.
After the game, I straight away admitted my mistakes, having missed those two chances. In one, I missed the goal. In the other, Barthez saved my shot. Probably, it would have been game over if I'd made it 2-0.
As fate would have it, Juventus signed France's Euro 2000 hero David Trezeguet, and he soon formed a partnership with Del Piero that would become the most prolific in Juventus history.
When you sign for Juventus, you know that it's a big club with a big history. Juventus gave me the chance to show my qualities, so I really enjoyed my time there.
We were a pair who complemented each other. He was very good in the box, especially in the air, and with his first touch. I could do what he couldn't do, and vice versa.
We felt like we'd known each other for a long time. We complemented each other and our own individual qualities. And at the same time, we managed to get to know each other more and more, so we could play well together for the good of the team.
In their second season as a partnership, Del Piero and Trezeguet fired Juventus to one of the most famous Scudetto titles of all time. Going into their last game away at Udinese, Juve trailed Inter by 1 point.
That was a Scudetto out of the ordinary. We'd reduced Inter's advantage, little by little.
We knew that Inter had a very difficult game, and that we needed to win our own match, which was a tough one too.
It was the last match of the season, and we had an away game like Inter. And we managed to win our match. The Inter game was a roller coaster of emotions. Inter took the lead, and then Lazio drew level. Then they took the lead again, and Lazio levelled again in the second half. This was all happening whilst we were playing our match. I remember we were so confused by all the reactions of the fans in the stadium. I was playing, but I found myself looking over to see the reactions of our fans. I recall asking one of my teammates on the bench why they were celebrating, and they all replied by gesturing 4-2 with their hands. I thought they were joking. It's not possible. Just not possible. So we spent the last 15 minutes or so trying to play our game, but at the same time, we were all looking over at the bench for updates. We just couldn't believe it. And in the end, well, it was true. Winning a Scudetto in that way was just unique.
After consecutive titles in 2002 and 2003, the following year Lippi became the Italian national manager, with Fabio Capello replacing him at Juventus. In his first season, Capello guided Juve to their 28th Scudetto, defined by a crucial win in Milan, thanks to a historic goal.
In my mind, I will always remember the match between AC Milan and Juventus. Alex performed a unique move that meant I scored with a header. It was a goal that basically gave us the title that season. That's an image that's in the memory of nearly every single Juventus fan.
Under Capello, Juventus were very strong, and we could have won more. But after those 2 seasons, something unexpected happened. We were relegated to Serie B, and we received a heavy points deduction.
In 2006, Italian football was rocked by the Calciopoli scandal. Juventus were relegated for alleged pressure on Italian match officials and the Italian Football Association. They were stripped of their 2005 and 2006 titles.
Listen, on a football level, we were sure we won. We were the best. As for what happened afterwards, well, it's very difficult to give an opinion about something that ultimately occurred in offices. Of course, at the time, it was a real shame for us, but our view was simple. We proved that we were the best team.
I'd been playing for Juventus for a long time, and Juve had given a lot to me. It was the thing that I enjoyed the most. That's why I decided to stay during the most difficult moment in the club's history. For me, it was just the right thing to do. I wanted to help Juve get back to the place where it was supposed to be.
For the Italian national side, the scandal overshadowed their preparation for the 2006 FIFA World Cup in Germany.
It was something that was annoying for whoever read the newspaper or watched the TV, but none of the players felt responsible for other people's mistakes. This wasn't our fault.
It was a strange World Cup for me, as I started most of our games on the bench, but it was a World Cup where I felt, and we all felt, important and united.
What I can say is that Ali, both as a starter and as a substitute, had a big impact on the game. This was thanks not just to his charisma and his technical ability, but to many other qualities. It was knowing that we could count on him at any time. Count on his experience, count on his quality, and count on his personality. He was the string to our bow, and that was one of the most important things about him.
It was a semi-final against Germany where Del Piero really proved his worth.
At the beginning of extra time, when I told him to come on, he was already ready. I turned to the bench and said, "Do you want to bet Del Piero's going to score?"
To have played and scored in such a historic game as the semi-final was the most emotional and incredibly beautiful moment. It blew my mind.
Of course, the goal against Germany and his celebration afterwards. That was something tremendously emotional to see. A man who in a single moment can express all of his joy and at the same time all of his anger at coming on the pitch perhaps a little later than he had expected. That's the reason why that moment was so moving.
That victory set up a World Cup final against France. The match finished 1-1 after 120 minutes, and so it went to penalties.
At the end of the game, every player was looking at me. Everybody was ready to take a penalty and win the World Cup. I picked Piero, Materazzi, then Del Piero. Then there was De Rossi, who was supposed to take the fourth, but he said he could take the third. So De Rossi third, Del Piero fourth, so only the fifth was left. I looked around. I didn't know who to pick. And I had a moment of inspiration. Grosso, take the fifth. You're the man of the last minute, so you take the penalty. Okay, I'll take it, he said. When it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Having the opportunity to live out my dream, the greatest dream of any player, and win the World Cup, is something you can't describe. Therefore, there's nothing else I can say. I just smile inside myself, because it's so amazing.
Weeks after winning the World Cup, Del Piero returned to Juventus and a very different challenge in Serie B.
After the World Cup, we started a new era for Juve. I was top scorer in both Serie B and then Serie A. That was a great personal achievement, as it was the first time in both competitions. It started a good journey, which was long in the end, 5 years, and it ended with the Scudetto in 2012.
After clinching his final league title, Alessandro Del Piero left Juventus in the summer of 2012 and spent 2 years at Sydney FC, as well as a spell with the Delhi Dynamos. But his career will be forever remembered for those 19 years in Turin. In his record-breaking 705 appearances, he scored a record-breaking 289 goals. He won 8 Scudetti and 1 Champions League, as well as the FIFA World Cup.
Ali had 3 or 4 qualities that only the big players have. The first one is that he always demanded the ball, every time, in any game or at any moment.
He was a striker who liked to move around. He didn't like to play as a classic centre-forward, because he could also be the playmaker.
Secondly, his technical skills were excellent. The way he stopped the ball, the way he dribbled, the way he passed. He was one of the best football talents ever born in Italy.
On a personal level, to play alongside Alessandro Del Piero was a dream come true. Playing with a player who made history for his club, and in general, made history for football around the world.
And then, and this is a quality only the best players have in order to last long in the game, he always wanted to improve. In the last 6 or 7 years, he became a flawless finisher.
Del Piero has always been a world-class player. He's always been such an important player. He was always looking for a goal. He could smell it. He loved to score goals.
Ali was, during my career, the greatest professional that I ever played with.
He's perhaps been the most important player in Juve's history. They've had many great players, but he's been the most reliable. Juventus have won a lot because of Del Piero, and Del Piero has won a lot because of Juventus.
If you say Juventus, you mean Del Piero, and if you say Del Piero, you mean Juventus.
A sentiment not lost on the Juventus fans, who gave their legendary captain a send-off to remember in his final Serie A match in Turin.
The day the Scudetto was celebrated was special, as it was my last game in Turin. The atmosphere was surreal. So in my last year, that game had arrived, the most important game. I was replaced after 1 hour. I even managed to score a goal. So it was a happy moment, but at the same time, I was aware that everything had finished. I remember looking around with empty eyes. I couldn't understand what was happening. I knew that moment would arrive, but I didn't have any experience of it. I didn't want to believe it, and maybe I didn't even want it to happen. I know this is what every player goes through. It was like time stopped. Those final laps, those 20 minutes of clapping, probably, along with the World Cup win, were the strongest emotions I ever felt in my life.